43,000 children born in BC every single year. That's the average, okay? I did the math. That equates to about 118 per day. So let's say there was 100 kids born in BC yesterday on Sunday.
Okay.
Let's say there was 100. Now let's half that because the game wasn't over till 4 o'clock Pacific time. 4:30. 5 o'clock.
I really don't know where you're going with this.
5 o'clock Pacific time. Let's divide that number a bit. There's nighttime births, obviously, right? Say there's about 70. We'll put it at 70. How many delivery rooms do you think were blasting the Artie Party anthem? How many kids do you think born in the year 2024, born on April 28th, 2024, are going to be named Arturs? Because I would say it's a lot. It's the song that's sweeping the nation. Hit it, Grady. Hit it. We haven't played it for a year.
What is happening?
A lot of people are calling it an Artie Party when you're in that.
I like that.
All right. Good vibes only. Good vibes only. It's the song that's sweeping a nation. Artie Party is back. Artie Party made an appearance at Bridgestone Arena. The glove to the ear, wanting to hear it from those Nashville fans who I'm pretty sure said, Demko, you suck, for their first chant of the night. But eventually they figured out the Canucks goaltender's first name. Lots to get to today, Irf.
Yeah, definitely a lot. What a game.
Quite a chaotic start to today's show.
Yes.
Almost made me forget that I need to tell you that today's episode of Canucks Conversation is brought to you by the 2024 Toyota BZ4X. The BZ4X is Toyota's brand new all-electric SUV that is designed to go the distance for you and your family. The BZ4X is packed with Toyota's coolest tech, but it still has that trusty SUV feel you know and love. And even though it's electric, it's capable of effortlessly conquering any terrain, whether it's rain, snow, mud, or your friends' questionable post-game recaps. The BZ4X will get you through it all. And of course, we are coming to you from the iconic Wall Center in downtown Vancouver. You're looking for your next meeting space? Contact the Wall Center for all your event needs at sales@wallcenter.com. David Quadrelli alongside Irfan Ghaffar. Grady Sass is our producer. He is the man at the controls. Frank Seravalli is going to join us at 2:30 for another edition of Frank Sits in Studio and Does Anyone Else with us. Again, we haven't told him he's part of the Anyone Else segment, but he's going to be taking listener questions with us. Jam-packed show today. Irf, usually we have 3 segments. We have a guest, then we've got our first one, then we've got a guest, then we have Anyone Else. We've got a lot going on. Today, it's just one long half hour. The first segment is literally just the fact that the Vancouver Canucks now find themselves up 3-1 over the Nashville Predators.
Absolutely. I don't think a lot of people watching this or were watching Rinkwide last night with Jeff Patterson and I would have guessed that was going to be the case, but you play well enough for 3 minutes in a hockey game, and chances are you can go and win that game. I mean, Brock Boeser hat trick. I'm sure we'll get into that. Elias Lindholm scoring the game winner, overtime hero. Artie Party, Arturs Silovs getting his first NHL win. And the Vancouver Canucks have a 3-1 series lead against Nashville Predators coming home for Game 5 tomorrow. David, starting 3 different goaltenders in this series. So there's also that as well.
First time in 20 years that's happened.
Yep.
When was the last time that happened, Irf?
Would happen to be, is it Vancouver Canucks?
It was Vancouver.
Yep.
I can't name the goalies off the top of my head. It was Kluche.
Come on.
Oh, wait, Grady, help me out. Kluche, Ald. Who's the third one?
The Moose. Johan Edberg.
That's right. And I just saw the tweet too. So yes, first time. We're not going to talk about how that series ended.
Latvian connection.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about how that series ended.
Not well.
Because I think this one is going to end differently. And I know I came out with the Canucks in 5 prediction at the start of the playoffs when we did our brackets. I'm still feeling good about that pick, Irf. I think they get it done tomorrow night, and we'll get to that. We still got to talk about the games. There's 2 games that we have to recap because we haven't talked about either game since we did a show, because of course it was on Friday afternoon. Yep. So let's start with Game 3. Let's start there. I'll give you a second because I didn't even tell you that we were going to have to talk about that game, but you've been on Rinkwide. You've been doing a fantastic job. I've been listening to every single episode.
You sure?
So we'll start on Friday. The 2-1 victory where Casey DeSmith made 29 saves. Canucks take a 2-1 series lead over the Preds. And again, I know I'm asking you to dial it back a bit here and go back in time with me, but That one was the one where the Canucks took 12 shots and won the game 2-1.
Yeah, but they scored 22 on the power play.
Absolutely.
And, there was a lot of talk about this team in the power play and it being kind of inept and what was going on. It looked static. It looked like things weren't very good for that power play. But going back to game three, they were able to get it done, right? They made some adjustments, put Elias Lindholm on that power play unit, gives them a different look. Essentially, it is a power play because Connor Garland's not on it. And I've had been,
4-4.
saying this for a while. It kind of is a little 4-4 action. So, you change it up a bit and they go down and they get the job done there in Nashville. It was a wild crowd. It looked like it was a lot of fun to play in, but, being able to go and squeak that one out for the Vancouver Canucks, you were happy with that one going into Sunday afternoon.
2-point night for Quinn Hughes.
Yep.
On Friday night. He was phenomenal. He was getting targeted a lot. 9 hits against Quinn Hughes in game 3. And somehow game 4 is the one where we really start to talk about Quinn Hughes getting targeted. Let's not do a thing where we say, okay, we're going to talk about this game, then we're going to talk about that game. There are storylines from both of these games, and I think one of them that we need to talk about before we get to goaltending and all that, kind of got to goaltending early in this show, but Quinn Hughes getting targeted quite clearly by Nashville. They're taking runs at him. They're not dirty hits, but they are making a note to finish every single check on Quinn Hughes, and you especially noticed it in game 4.
Yeah. But if you're the Nashville Predators and you play that tough forechecking style and Quinn Hughes goes and gets the puck and basically has the puck on his stick a lot of the time in breakouts and he's on the ice all the time for the Vancouver Canucks, why aren't you hitting him? Like that should be your job if you're the Nashville Predators. Make life miserable for one of the league's best defensemen, if not the best defenseman in the National Hockey League, a Norris Trophy maybe winner this season in Quinn Hughes. So if you're Nashville, that's the game plan that you want to have, right? You make life difficult, you lay the body, you play that heavy game, and you get him off his game a little bit. And, we're going to talk about, is he battling something? Is there an injury? Is there something going on with Quinn Hughes? Moving forward to game 4, I think that there was a little bit of an issue there. Obviously, Frank Seravalli, who will join us a little bit later on, can dive more into that for sure. But I can't sit here and say that, Quinn Hughes isn't, battling something right now. Mind you, it is a playoffs and a lot of players in the National Hockey League are going through something. So, yeah, the Nashville Predators, their game plan is assert dominance on the body, be heavy on the forecheck, and try and get Quinn off his game.
And Quinn Hughes looked a little bit off his game in game 4.
He did.
Until he didn't.
Yeah.
Until he didn't. Which, again, we will get to a little bit later. Again, we're going to try not to do the let's talk about game 3. Now let's talk about game 4. But I think there is one last thing that we need to talk about with game 3. Obviously, you brought up the power play. I wanted to point out that with both of these games, Irv, the Canucks penalty kill has been phenomenal.
Yep.
Nashville hasn't scored a power play goal since game 1 of this series.
Yeah. And credit to them, right? They're making adjustments and guys are, getting sticks involved. They're, dumping the puck. They're blocking shots and doing everything that you need to do to win playoff hockey. But the Nashville Predators power play, it's not great. You have that top line and you've got those units. I thought Ryan O'Reilly could have had 15 chances, in game 3. When you look at it, he missed the net 10 times. I was like, man, there's no way this guy's going to miss the net this much in game 4, but credit to the Canucks again, right? They were able to go and do what they did to limit the Nashville Predators chances, not let them get shots. And if your goalie is going to see the puck, more chances than not, he's going to save it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's get to the goaltenders, because in game 3, Casey DeSmith gets run by Michael McCarron. He talks to Jeff Pettersson, who was down there in Nashville, and said he was fine as a result of that hit. He's photographed out with some fans as well. We saw that photo of Casey DeSmith. He's unavailable for game 4. Rick Tocchet confirming today. I was just at Rogers Arena earlier today for a media availability, and Rick Tocchet confirming that the injury happened during the game, but based on Casey's own words, it really didn't seem like it was a result of that McCarron hit. Sounds like lower body from what I've heard with Casey DeSmith, and I have no indication that it's from the McCarron hit. We didn't ask flat out, but Jeff was talking to Casey DeSmith about the hit, and he said he's fine. He was talking about how, it kind of fired me up. I've got a lot of pads on. I'm not going to get hurt from that. And then he's out for game 4. He was the emergency backup goaltender, and I think Thomas Drance also confirmed this. I looked into this. He was the emergency backup goaltender for game 4. So if Silovs had went down and then Nikita Tolopilo had went down, Casey DeSmith, who couldn't make the start for game 4, was going to step into the Vancouver goal crease. So it kind of tells you that, okay,
they were playing it safe.
He needed a day off. Silovs kind of steals the show in game 4.
Yes, A little bit, for sure. I mean,
second period, come on.
The second period, yeah, he was great. I mean, he made saves when he needed to. I didn't think he needed to be brilliant. I mean, he kept them in the game, obviously, and then they go up 3-1, and then, the Brock Boeser show happened in the final 2 minutes of the game. But let's just furthering on Casey DeSmith, his lower body, it didn't happen, obviously, with the McCarron hit.
Yeah.
What we do know is that I think he's likely to play game 5. I think he's available, and I think that he will play game 5.
Oh, you think he'll start?
I think he'll start.
Really?
I think he'll start game 5 tomorrow.
Okay, so we're gonna have our first disagreement of the day today.
You don't think he's starting?
I think he's able to.
What did Tocchet say today? I missed it.
So, no. You're right. Tocchet was totally non-committal to the idea. In fact, Shannon Patterson, Jeff Patterson's wife, asked about if Casey DeSmith was 100%, if he would be the guy to go in. And Tocchet kind of said, well, nobody's 100% at this time of year. We want to kind of go from hour by hour, and we'll make the decision tomorrow.
Let's put it this way. Casey DeSmith has played through worse in his career.
Yeah, so I'm saying if he's healthy, I still think you go with Silovs.
No.
You don't think they go with Silovs?
I don't think so. I think they're going back to DeSmith. I really do.
You're ending the Artie party already?
Huh?
You're ending the Artie party?
Because too many kids were born.
Do you need to hear the song again?
No, I really don't want to hear the song again.
So you really think DeSmith?
You seem you're shocked by this. I don't understand.
I am. We just did something on Canucks Army about how Silovs are in the crease for game 5. I absolutely think you're in the crease for game 5.
Wow, that's just really.
Do you disagree?
Casey DeSmith was brought in for this reason.
Yeah.
He had an unbelievable start to this season. Yeah, I know he's tailed off a little bit, but when Thatcher Demko went down, they went to Casey DeSmith, and who got a win?
Well,
before Silovs did. It was Casey DeSmith. I really do believe he's going to be your guy, unless he's physically unable to play the hockey game. I think they went to Silovs because they were up 2-1 in the series. Worst possible case scenario was you lose that game. You have your starting goalie, who's the backup goalie, back for game 5 at home to try and extend the series. Silovs comes in. He does his job. He plays well. By all accounts, they were losing that game until the final 2 minutes anyways, to be completely fair.
Yeah.
And to justify this argument, like, Casey's he was the E-bug. So, like, to your point, if he was good enough to be the E-bug, why is he not good enough? What wouldn't be the reason for him to not play if he was healthy enough in game 5? I think he's starting. I really do. Now, crazier things have happened. Unless you know something that I don't, I don't think you do.
I swear to God,
I know that he wants to play. I know that he feels good enough to play.
Yeah.
So I guess it's up to Ian Clark and Rick Tocchet and what they really do think. But I would be very surprised if they went to Silovs in game 5. I think it's DeSmith.
I disagree. I don't know. I don't know if it should be such an open shut case. Like, okay, here's the scenario for you, Irv. They're up 3-1 in this series, okay? They want to clinch tomorrow. You give Artie the crease because of how he played. I thought he played really well. Like, I don't want to understate that he played really well in game 4.
Okay, and then they lose and they make it 3-2, and you go back to Nashville and you're going to put Casey DeSmith in?
And then you put Casey DeSmith.
Why? You're not
He's
doing
getting
that.
An extra rest. He's getting an extra day of rest.
Okay, I don't think that you can't do that. The Canucks 2 goalies right now aren't as good as the Boston Bruins 2 goalies who can go back and forth.
Okay.
They can. Like, they have that. They've been doing it all season long. I think for the Vancouver Canucks, it's a little different. You got to go with DeSmith. I don't think that you can have this back and forth. You're going to ride this guy. You're going to say, okay, Silovs is in because he won the game in Nashville. And then if he loses, we're going to go to DeSmith in Nashville. No, there's no if he loses. Who gives you your best chance to win? It's probably Casey DeSmith.
And coaches love them some veteran goaltenders.
Yeah.
Fair. That's fair.
I don't know. Look, I don't think the moment's going to be too big for Silovs. I mean, the playing in enemy territory was great, and he came in and he had some, really good saves, and he looked good, calm, cool, and collected, as he should, and as he should at this point in the season. Yep. But, like, there's a reason why you pay your backup goaltender, right? And it's for these moments. And I really don't think that they're going to go over Silovs.
Okay, so here's the thing. This is what I keep thinking about is if that were the case, and I'm not doubting your opinion, of course, but James Dahl in the Twitter live chat, Silovs has big time momentum. It's all about vibes, Irv. It's all about vibes. Here's the thing that I wonder is don't heavy sigh, if this thought process that, that's our guy, we got to go back to him. If that were present, why wouldn't Tocchet just say today, if he's good, he's going tomorrow?
Because
he was so non-committal.
It's about gamesmanship. Why is he going to say it?
Yeah, I guess it's playoffs. Yeah, okay.
Why would you say it? You think are you going to tip your hand? If you're Rick Tocchet, and I'm asking you a question as, David Quadrelli here
I'd say
of Canucks
wild
Army. I'm
cards.
saying, hey, Rick, you're starting goaltender tomorrow. You know, Silovs played great, but can you let us know who's starting in net tomorrow?
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, quads, of course I can. That seems very
There's
reasonable.
absolutely no chance you would say that. I'm sorry. I'm calling absolute BS on that, to be completely fair. And it's gamesmanship. What team
This is
before a game other than maybe... No, there's nobody other than like Hellebuck, because you know it's going to be him, and everyone else in the league, they'll say, we'll see you the next day. And then they tell you after morning skate. The only one when it was a wild case is when it happened after the morning skate, or sorry, the availability before game 4, when Rick was asked, or when Rick Tocchet was asked flat out, is DeSmith starting? And then he said he didn't know. So that was the one that was there because there was no morning skate. They're going to have a morning skate tomorrow. I would be surprised if Casey wasn't on the ice at some point today, just getting his legs loose a little bit. And we'll probably take a morning skate tomorrow, maybe take the option, get some treatment. But yeah, that would be crazy if it was Silovs. I mean, look, crazier things have definitely happened, but I think they're going to DeSmith.
I'm sorry to report that the chat overwhelmingly agrees with you and disagrees with me. I didn't want to say it.
What? Disagrees with you?
Yeah, they disagree with
It's
me.
not the first time this has happened, and it definitely won't be the last. You started off so good. I should have known this is the way you were going with the Artie party.
I don't think it's as open. I don't think it's as open shot case.
Okay, but why?
Because he played well.
So did Casey DeSmith when they won.
But Casey DeSmith's clearly going through something.
So
give him the rest.
Like I said, but now you're playing that game. If you're giving him the rest and you're like, okay, we can afford to lose this game. Why don't you want to go and play your guy to try and win this series at home? That gives you the best chance to win the hockey game.
I raise you a situation. Casey DeSmith is going through something right now. Okay.
Casey DeSmith has played through a worse injury.
Sure.
So it's been reported. He was good enough to be the backup. Had he not been able to go and be the e-bug in that game, to your point, what you just said, that if Silovs went down, if Tolopino went down, he would have to play the hockey game. I have no idea where you came in with this argument from, but if Silovs starts tomorrow, I'll buy you dinner.
Deal. But I'm not getting you anything.
It's not happening. Yeah, because you know I'm right. It's the logical thing to do.
Here's the
Vancouver
situation.
Canucks.
Here's the situation.
There is no situation. It's the best game.
I'm raising you a situation, and I want you to digest this situation. Casey DeSmith is going through something right now, okay? He is going through something right now. You play him tomorrow because he's at 97%. All of a sudden, he gets hurt with something more serious. Now, boom, you don't have him for round 2.
Quinn Hughes is playing with something right now.
So
you don't want to have him not play and then play? Maybe we can win tomorrow. Let's rest him.
Hey, I've been saying rest Quinn all of round 1.
Oh, you're wrong on that too. Your vibes aren't high right now. They're just all over the place.
I'm just saying.
You came in hot. I'm just saying.
Not my first time.
I think your judgment is clouded a little bit.
Not my first time being right about Arturs Silovs. So we'll see.
It's great that you're right about it, and I get it. And it's a fantastic story. He came in. He was able to steal the victory. The Canucks took that one. They stole it, and they got the hell out of Nashville after winning that hockey game. Right? Then the game they probably had no business winning. They played all of maybe 5 minutes of it, to be completely fair, right? You get the Brock goal early in the game, first shot, first goal, and then you get the 2 Brock goals at the end of the game and Lindholm to win it 62 seconds into overtime. Okay? So that's about 5 minutes of hockey. The Canucks played well. Silovs did have to keep his team in the game. I do agree with you on that. That second period was brilliant. I really don't think they're going to go to him. So are you
just telling me this is a good story for one game and it's over?
That he wasn't going to be... Let's say this, before the playoffs started, there's absolutely no chance that Silovs would have been seeing starting action.
Sure.
Right? Thatcher Demko's healthy, and Casey DeSmith is your guy. A healthy Casey DeSmith.
Even if DeSmith was healthy.
We know Demko's gone for this series. DeSmith wasn't healthy enough to play that game. However, I do think if that game, push came to shove, was an elimination game, was a scenario where the Canucks had their backs up against the wall and things like that, and the situation wasn't where they were comfortable enough to put Silovs in it and say, worst case scenario, we go back tied, DeSmith would have started. Let's just put it that way.
Intellectual ambassador, these takes can't be real, right?
Yours or mine?
Mine. 100% he's talking about mine. All right, I'll leave it. But I'm just saying there's a few people, thanks
that agree
to
with you?
All 2 of you in the chat, that agree with me.
Well, I just don't get, like, who gives you your best chance to win the hockey game?
I don't want to come on and do Casey DeSmith slander. I don't. He played really well in game 3, but he also had some very hairy moments throughout this series with rebound control specifically.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, Silovs probably not going to like one of the goals that he had. His rebound control
Yeah,
wasn't
the
good
first
on that
one went
game,
through his arm.
right?
Yep.
The friend, the first one hit him. If the puck hits you, you probably should make the save
Yep.
if you ask any goaltender. So we can have this argument. We can sit here and have this argument and go back and forth about it all afternoon long. I don't think we want to. I don't think the YouTube chat
no one
wants
wants
us to, because no one wants to hear your outlandish takes about who should start in net tomorrow and be committal the day before a game if you're the head coach of the Vancouver Canucks. Jeez, quads, what are we doing here?
Here's one from Ty David. Set the record for 4 wins with 4 goalies. Put Tolopilo in tomorrow. There's a take.
I'm leaving.
Here's an actual thing to consider though, Irf.
Okay.
The fact that the Canucks have won 3 games with 3 different goalies, all of those goalies having a better save percentage than UC Saros.
Speaking to the depth of the goaltending position at this organization.
Absolutely.
Right? And Tolopilo hasn't even obviously seen any sort of action yet, but we know, and obviously his the sky's the limit for him from what we've heard. So credit to the Vancouver Canucks. Shout out to Ian Clark, because he's
Marco
one of the goalie
Torenius
gurus,
too.
yes, as well. But Ian Clark is a guy that works with his goalies constantly. He's a guy that's on the phone, the guy that talks to them, guy that gets more so than just the on ice, product of what we see in games about how the goalies are playing, but also off the ice stuff, psychological stuff of the game, getting the mind ready and everything like that. So a lot of credit definitely has to go to Ian Clark. That's why you see Rick Tocchet, when he's kind of asked about it, sometimes he says, talks to Clarkie. Because
Absolutely.
every coach that has coached the Canucks for a long time since Ian Clark has been here, when the goaltending decision has come up, well, we're going to talk to Clarkie and figure it out and see what he thinks, right? He's just a big part of this organization, as Rick Tocchet is, as really anyone else is, because the goalie is one of the most important, if not the most important position. So you look at it and you're probably going to say, if Casey DeSmith is not healthy enough to play tomorrow, I don't think that that's the case. I think that he wants to play. I think that he feels good enough to play. I think that he will play. They're going to talk to Ian Clark about it. But yeah, to your point, I get, look, 3 different goalies have won games for the Vancouver Canucks. It's not a great strategy to go by if you're them, but they got it done. Now you have to go, if you're Rick Tocchet, and I guess Ian Clark now, go with the goalie that you believe gives you the best chance to win the hockey game on home ice, and I think it's Casey DeSmith.
This is a really good point for both of us to consider, but mostly me, from Jeremy Lee. You don't want to put too much pressure on goaltending as a whole. A lot of people pointing out the fact that, you've got momentum and the guys just rallied around Silovs. But again, if DeSmith, I almost called him DeSmith because I'm trying to remember Silovs. If DeSmith is 100% healthy, and again, nobody's 100%, I get it. But if he actually is healthy enough and there's no risk of further injury to whatever he's dealing with, then sure, I will concede and say DeSmith is probably the goalie that gives you the best chance. But I think it's like this close. And for those on the podcast, my hands are pretty damn close to each other right now.
Well, I think the Canucks were just playing it safe, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
I think that they went into it looking at it for game 4 and basically said, if worst possible case scenario is we lose this game, go back home and DeSmith can play, right? Now, the best possible case scenario happened. They were losing that game basically the whole way through until the final couple minutes. Yeah. They end up stealing one and getting out of Nashville, up 3-1 at home. You have all the momentum in the world. And I get what that listener said. Don't want to put too much pressure on goaltending at all. And they shouldn't, because the Canucks, as JT Miller said, need to be a hell of a lot better. And you can bet that they will be tomorrow night. I think you still have to go with DeSmith.
Fair enough. Okay, let's move off of goaltending.
Jeez.
There used to be a goaltending quota on this show way back when.
Well, we definitely reached it in the first 24 minutes.
I wasn't allowed to talk goaltending for more than 5 minutes.
We reached the whole week's worth here.
No kidding.
Okay, anything else that you wanted to get to specifically from these 2 games? Frank's going to join us in about 5 minutes time. I feel like we haven't even talked about the Brock Boeser hat trick yet. The Brock Boeser show, as you put it before, and I think that's a great way to put it. Brock Boeser really comes alive in that game. The take I had when I was writing Instant Reaction was, and I'll be honest, I wrote it with about 5 minutes to go, and I was ready to hit publish about how this was one of the worst games I'd ever seen from Elias Pettersson in a Canuck uniform, how they needed anybody to step up, and nobody did. Nobody was there for them. Nobody stepped up. The Miller line looked fine, but at the end of the day, they didn't get the job done. Those were all the words that I had written before Brock Boeser came alive in the final 3 minutes. They scored twice with the goalie pulled, and kudos to Arturs Silovs for getting to the bench so quickly.
No, credit to the Vancouver Canucks for having the puck and not forcing it up the ice and then pulling your goalie.
Yes.
That's the smartest thing in all.
6-man breakout.
That is the smartest thing in all of this is they let Silovs go to the bench, as Quinn Hughes has the puck behind the net, because then you can work on it. You're not forcing anything. It's not a 5-on-5 and you're just dumping it in, hoping you retrieve the puck and go and get it. That was the smartest thing, to be completely honest.
Yes.
Yeah, credit to Silovs for getting to the bench so quickly, but having the puck behind the net, we're all going to remember that JT Miller clip of him banging his stick on the net as him wanting to get the goalie to the bench.
Colin Delia.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. And the answer being JT saying, I just can't believe we didn't have a plan. This is
why they did it. So now you look at it and say, okay, this is the reason why you have the puck. You have possession of the puck, which is the most important thing. And then you can get your extra attacker on the ice. So yeah, credit to the Vancouver Canucks for going and doing that and being able to execute it to perfection. But Brock Boeser, I talked about it, the Brock stock completely going up.
Yes.
Right. And he's a guy that, there was an article written, I believe it was Ian McIntyre, and Brock saying you don't want to be one of those guys that has a really good regular season and disappear in the playoffs. Brock's been really good. JT's been really good in these playoffs. Quinn's also been really good in these playoffs. So you look at it, there's a core three. Demko obviously was hurt or is now hurt. And then you go to Elias Pettersson and kind of see what happens there. And if, he's going to end up showing up at some point in this series. But yeah, credit to Brock Boeser. I mean, it's not him scoring the goals. I think it's the way that he's scoring the goals. 16 power play goals on the year. A lot of them come from those areas of the rink where, you definitely want to see him, right? I think right in front of the net is underrated how good his hands have become. When early on in his career, he's a guy that had that ridiculous shot, the slap shot, top of the circle. He was able to get that in, but now he's finding ways to score. I mean, he even said it post-game. I think he said he almost lost the game for the Canucks and was able to get that rebound and then put it back in the net. So obviously huge credit to him, and for him to go out and be able to send that game to overtime and then Elias Lindholm ending it very, very early. I mean, they definitely stole one there in Nashville.
Yeah, let's get to that Elias Lindholm goal because it starts. Well, we didn't even really mention Quinn Hughes' play at the line there, where Quinn Hughes knocked the puck down, kept it in, and really kept that play alive. And I think Garland today was talking about how everybody on the bench was kind of like, oh, there's the rim out from Nashville. They got the puck out, or Quinn's under pressure. This is going to be really tough. And then Quinn knocks it down with the shaft of his stick, makes a little shimmy. Ridiculously difficult move to execute. He executes it to perfection, then moves the puck to Elias Pettersson, who waits long enough. Or am I mixing up the goals? I might be. Elias Pettersson was. I am. The first goal, Elias Pettersson was really good on. Yeah. That was the one good thing in Elias Pettersson's game, on that game. But when it comes to Quinn Hughes, that play at the line, that's the one that I feel like needs to get all the attention in the world. Because if he doesn't make that play, or that's basically any other defenseman there on their backhand, especially, this is a tied up series.
No, absolutely. I mean, the Nashville Predators don't hit the post in the empty net.
Oh my gosh, you didn't even talk about that
too. Yeah. So it's a game of inches, obviously. And you look at Quinn Hughes, and I mean, one of the best skaters in the National Hockey League, and he does those things every night. I think that when we look at it and kind of take it for granted if you're a Vancouver Canucks fan, because you see it so often about how good he is and how he beats guys and breaks ankles every single night. So when you see it in the playoffs and on a different scale, and it's blown up completely, and the guy that he goes by is still skating, flying somewhere down the ice, right? And they go and win that game. A lot more eyes are on it, but it's something that Canucks fans, if you're watching this or whatever, you're known to seeing it for a very long time, that he is that good with this,
especially on a night where he was clearly feeling the effects of all the hits he was taking, on a week where we were starting to hear more and more mouth breathers starting to talk about how he's not built for the playoffs and all this other stuff that we've been hearing for years now. It's important. It was an important statement, I think, for Quinn Hughes
to go and do that. I think for Quinn, just being able to get out of that game, right? They get the win, they get out of the game, and for him, it's rest now, and the overtime wasn't lengthy, right?
That's right.
He played 19 minutes the game before, and he obviously 8 some more minutes in game 4. I mean, he's obviously going through something. It's no secret. There's shots of him being doubled over on the bench there. I think there's a lot of guys that are definitely battling through something right now. It's the playoffs. It's exactly what it is when you get to this point in the season. But yeah, I mean, Nashville's doing their job. I mean, their game plan is, if you want to get the Canucks off their game, you target their best player. And I know there's a lot of people saying that there's no pushback, there's no one doing anything, but you win hockey games. That's exactly what you're doing. You're inflicting damage that way.
Yeah. Okay. tomorrow we'll have a preview. Harmon's back. Harmon's in transit today, so he's traveling. So we'll preview tomorrow's game. We're going to not talk too much about the rest of the series. Maybe it'll come up in anyone else. Frank's going to join us for anyone else. So it's always a treat when we can get him in studio. Let's bring him in now. Frank Seravalli, who is fittingly, you'll like this, Frank, brought to you by the Daily Faceoff Playoff Parlay Challenge, which is not sponsored by any fast food restaurant, so I don't want to hear about it. Get ready for the Daily Faceoff Playoff Parlay Challenge. Each game day, answer 4 questions. Pick the winning team. Guess if points will be over or under. Predict the first goal and choose the highest scoring period. Daily winners snag gift cards while each round's champs pocket cash. Play now at games.dailyfaceoff.com and prove your puck prowess. It's fast, it's fun, and it's all about hockey. Frank Seravalli joins us now, the president of hockey content at Daily Faceoff. Frank, thank you so much for taking the time, and thank you for joining us.
Is Harm half miling today? What's going on? How come I made it back from Nashville and Harm didn't?
You know, I thought about this when you texted me today and said, hey, do you need me on your show today? Where the hell's Harm? I also thought Harmon had a direct flight back. So is he just napping?
Sunday night on Broadway.
There is no direct flight that I know of.
No,
There's one today.
Yeah, he found one.
Oh, he found
There's
one.
one
So how
on.
did
There's
you
one on
get
Monday.
back?
There's one on Monday afternoon.
I went all the way through Denver at 6 a.m.
Wow. So
Yeah.
when was the last time you slept?
I slept 4 hours last night.
Hey, it's the playoffs.
It's the playoffs, man. This is what you do.
It's not what I do.
We used to have questionable goaltending tape. Frank, good to see you, my friend. Always.
How you doing,
Always a
bud?
pleasure to be in the same room.
Yeah.
Saw you writing on Quinn Hughes. What do we know? I mean, it's no secret that there's obviously stuff going on, and you saw the shots of him on the bench, doubled over, and Nashville clearly target him. So, what do we know about the Canucks captain?
Oh man, he's taking a beating
Yeah.
this series, and I don't know if it's just this series or did he enter with something. It's pretty clear to me that in some way Quinn Hughes is physically compromised. That sequence, or I guess those couple sequences that produce that comeback in the third period, should and will go down as the stuff of legend, given what I think he's dealing with. No one's going to confirm anything at this time of year. The Canucks all season long haven't made excuses on injuries. But when you look at his, first off, eye test, I mean, you guys are used to Quinn Hughes dominating and controlling play. That hasn't happened this series. When you look at his deployment and his minutes being down 1.5 minutes off of his season average, what star player captain gets to the Stanley Cup playoffs and plays fewer minutes? And then if you look at some of his underlying stats and the data, that would indicate that there's at least something going on. How significant, how serious remains to be seen. But the point of the story was to say the Canucks can do themselves some huge favors by knocking off the Nashville Predators in Game 5 to get some rest for everyone, to avoid, as JT Miller said, 8.5 hours of additional flying, and to better position yourselves to have a chance to beat the Edmonton Oilers in round 2.
Who should they start tomorrow, Frank?
I would start Silovs.
There you go.
I would want 1,000% certainty that Casey DeSmith is 100+% to go. And I don't know, for someone that was just missing a game, if he could possibly guarantee that. And Silovs was good, so it just buys you more time, right? In an odd way, and I'm not advocating for this, but you could actually make the case, given what's going on, 3-1 lead, that maybe Quinn Hughes should sit.
Irf.
I mean, no, look,
Is that absolutely preposterous?
No, it's not. It's just that we were having the same debate, and I'm totally on your side.
but
So-
to your point, ending it early, like, why you don't have your best player or one of your best players? I know he's going through something, but why would you not want to have your best team out there on the ice, giving you your best chance to win, to try and end this one early?
Fair question.
I agree.
Here's the scariest part for the Nashville Predators. The Canucks haven't really played a good game yet.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So if you are 4 games in and you have a 3-1 lead, you only need 1. Can you scratch and claw it out on home ice? They're facing some pretty long odds to make it back in the series, Nashville is. Is there any chance that any part of their team rolls over?
How much does Noah Juleson make you if you take out Quinn Hughes? Right, you know what I mean? Like, I get it, scratch and claw your way out, but I think that you kind of gotta, I don't know. I mean,
we're obviously dealing with negative return, right?
Yeah.
So,
I think the goaltending one is the one where you can almost say that there's you really matter if the team plays well in front of you, but
well, there's some in the Canucks organization that view Silovs as a coin flip between him and DeSmith. Anyway,
there you go.
It's quads.
It's
not in the organization.
It's not quads. That's legitimately how they view it, that they think they're really close. And given that DeSmith was injured, yeah, he played well in game 3, but they weren't losing anything. In fact, they would lose something if they put DeSmith in, risking further injury and risking compromising game 4, that it made sense to go with Silovs.
How did we get into this again, Irv? I apologize.
It's your fault. You wrote in our little chat here. Someone did ask Frank about the goalies.
That was Grady. Grady stirred the pot.
Whoever did, and someone got excited about it.
Now there's a poll in the YouTube live chat asking people who should start. And Frank, let's.
You could always go back to DeSmith.
That's what I said. But
yeah, but
you're brought up a really good point that you're running the risk of pushing a series that doesn't need to go to 6 games to pushing it to 6 games if you're not going with your best guy.
That may happen even if you go with him.
So I'm just saying, I think the line between DeSmith and Silovs is very close, and if I'm going by vibes, which I often am, I'm going with Silovs. That's even, like I'm talking if DeSmith is 100% healthy. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that assessment.
Okay,
I don't think DeSmith was nervous, but there was certainly a vibe and energy that Silovs has. Whether it was chirping the fans, the celebration, like he just had a lot going on in game 4. It seemed like he kind of reveled in that environment.
Well, I think it's just also the year that he's had. Right?
Yeah.
I think that helps a lot, Frank. I mean, look, the guy wins Latvia's first ever medal. He's the MVP of the tournament. I mean, by quad standard, vibes are pretty high for Arturs Silovs, to be completely honest. So, yeah, I mean, you're riding high on confidence. And I think that's one of the reasons why you're comfortable going with him that game. I think it changes a little bit now that you're at home, but we'll see what happens. I mean,
why does it change at home? This is the guy who just beat DeSmith in that bronze medal game.
I know. Well, that's another thing, which is wild to add to this as well. I just think you're going to go with the guy that is Thatcher Demko's backup, and this Casey DeSmith is a guy that you brought here for these positions and to go and do it.
Who won the job technically? I guess technically DeSmith did because he retained it.
But
who outplayed who in the month of March?
That was Silovs.
Okay, so
I'm gonna agree with Irv to some extent though, because there's also the factor that I'm starting to think about a little more, Frank.
It's not the month of March. It's one hockey game. Right? I mean, you look at
who gives you the better chance to win?
That's exactly what it is. And that's the conversation that they're going to have with Ian Clark and Rick talking.
It's the one they're having right now this afternoon, because that's when they tell their goalies.
It's a toss-up. I lean towards Silovs, but I will say this, because I will say this to Irf's counterpoint to my original point, because I'm thinking about it a little bit more. The idea that you're going to go back to Silovs tomorrow and, okay, well, if he loses DeSmith back in, what kind of message is that sending to Casey DeSmith? If he's 100% healthy and you say, yeah, you know what? We're going to go with this kid over you. And then you got to throw DeSmith in for game 6. And then it's, okay, Casey, go win us the series.
I don't think it sends any message. I get what you're saying, and it's a fair question to ask, but you were injured. We need to have someone that's fully healthy. We're going with our guy, and if we need you, we'll use you. But in the meantime, this is it.
Yeah, but it was I don't know. We can keep getting into this back and forth. We spent 40 minutes on the goaltending situation. I think Frank wants to talk about more than the Canucks goaltending situation, especially with all the stuff that's going around this team. You went to both games. Obviously, you've been covering this series a lot, and we've talked about
all 4 games.
Yeah, all 4 games. Elias Pettersson. What have you seen? What haven't you seen? I know it's basically been since the All-Star break kind of for him with his game.
Well, you know what I haven't seen? A shot attempt on goal,
Yeah.
and a shot attempt period in game 4. I mean, the oddest part for me of game 4 was when he was jacked up by Jeremy Lauzon in that celebration.
Yep.
His best shifts of the entire series occurred after that. He was like suddenly engaged. It was like someone woke him up. It was almost like he was in straight up no man's land at the time of that collision, the accidental on purpose collision. I don't have an explanation for it. Is he hurt? Is he not? No one has whispered to me, oh, this is someone that's dealing with something like they have with other players. It feels to me like he's in his own head, but I don't have any confirmation. And, you know, even if you're hurt, right? There's an engagement factor. There's that part of the game that I'm not getting from him. I'm not seeing. Is another really scary part for the Preds, right? Like, what if
he wakes up?
Pettersson wakes up? What if Quinn Hughes has a monster game? What if there's a million what ifs? What if, like, by the way, like, we could go up and down the roster. Like, is Ilya Mikheyev going to do something this series?
No.
Hasn't done anything all year. So.
Yeah.
But I'm just, these guys have the potential to do something. At some point, you think that they're going to.
Here's something that I want to talk about with the whole Pettersson thing, because I think it's interesting you bring up the Lauzon thing. When he got hit, I didn't think he bounced back. Like, I don't think he had that level of, okay, I'm going to take it to you, because this is what we have seen for years. And Irf knows this. We've seen this for years in Vancouver. When Elias Pettersson gets roughed up, when an opponent does something he doesn't like, Pettersson takes over. Like, Pettersson's done this many times before.
So you
where
don't
he
think
has
you saw it, is what you're saying?
No, I don't think I saw it, and I was waiting to see it. And I was saying in past years, we would go see Elias Pettersson go snipe a goal, stare down the bench after he does it.
I thought we saw it for till the end of the second period, and then the third period, I don't think we saw him again.
No, he just appeared in the third period. Yeah, I agree with Frank. I think that he was good. He did wake up a little bit. The shot of Mike Yeo talking to him after after that kind of happened, and you know, you could tell that he was obviously a little pissed off at the situation and kind of what happened there.
That
but
you just got straight up plastered on the boards in front of their entire team. And
also no one did anything about it.
Yeah, no one did anything, and he didn't do anything, and he just kind of like sheepishly skated back to the bench, adjusting his helmet. Like, I don't know about you guys, and I, you know, obviously I don't have a storied hockey career or anything, but even in beer league, if someone's jacking me up during a celebration, that's
swinging.
Yes, 100%
swinging.
Let alone in a Stanley Cup playoff game in front of 18,000 people.
And your parents. His parents were in the stands. Where the hell do we go from here, guys? Should we just go to anyone else? You want to get to listener questions?
Just end the show and have a beer.
No, we're going to get to anyone else. We're going to get to anyone else.
I'm just looking at this fridge over here.
I just think we have so many different things, so many different directions, and I'll let the listeners take it away. Because it's time for anyone else. Presented by the Vancouver Canadians. The C's are back at the Nat. Catch fireworks, giveaways, Friday nooners, and superstar appearances all spring and summer long. Get your tickets at CanadiansBaseball.com. The C's are giving away a record 33 giveaways this season. This includes 6 koozies giveaways for the first 6 Saturdays of the season from all of their beer partners, and a giveaway every Sunday for Family Fun Sunday for kids 12 and under. The Canadians are back at the Nat on Tuesday, May 7th for a full homestand that includes a superstar appearance from Marco Estrada on the 7th, a nooner at the Nat on the 10th, and a Family Fun Sunday on the 12th, where kids 12 and under can run the bases. For tickets, call 604-872-5232 or go to CanadiansBaseball.com. I've run the bases at the Nat. A lot of fun.
Dude, if we're back next week, I'm going to a game.
Oh, it's one of the best experiences in Vancouver in the summer. They're awesome.
I need a hat. Someone needs to get me a hat. I need a C's hat.
I will get you a C's hat. I have a couple of C's hats.
I want C season tickets.
He doesn't want your old.
Well, I'm not going to give him mine.
Odds.
I'm not going to give him mine. I'm just saying I know where to get them. Anyways.
You know the team store. Congrats.
Okay. Let's get to anyone else presented by the Vancouver Canadians. Okay, this one from Jeremy Lee. Frank, I'll ask you this one. What do you guys think about the Nashville body language in the series? I noticed they were smirking a lot. This Canucks fan does not like to see them smirking, Frank.
Smirking.
It's like smiling.
Yeah, thanks.
Like smiling.
Thanks, Tips.
Holy.
I would say it's normal playoffs. I don't notice anything different. It's just me. Like, it had this. Let me say this. If you subtract out the goaltending carousel that the Canucks have had, and obviously the last 2 minutes and 49 seconds of Game 4,
Yeah.
this has been the most boring playoff series I have ever covered.
It's not
Maybe
fun
not
to watch. I
boring.
agree.
It's totally uninteresting hockey.
Yeah, I agree.
And like again, the Canucks 13 shots through 2 periods yesterday. Game 3, Nashville 12 shots total. Like I hope everyone knows what they're getting themselves into with Oilers Canucks, as the entire nation will turn its attention to Vancouver.
Let me ask you, Kate, stylistically then, is that just both teams? Or like we saw like the Vancouver
No, this
Canucks
is the
can put up-
Canucks.
You think so?
Yeah, I do. I think this is the Canucks. I think what it was interesting to hear Andrew Brunette, he was asked about this, and he said we're really similar teams in how we view the game. And I think you need some disparity to make it really interesting. Like, look at the Jets and the Avs. Totally different. It's a tug of war, and someone's going to win. Someone might obliterate the other one.
Mm-hmm.
But this is just, what is this?
I think this is the Canucks forcing Nashville to play this way, not the other way around.
I agree. They're perfectly comfortable giving up shots. Like, how many really good looks have the Preds had? Like, how many point blank close in? I mean, DeSmith played well on Friday. Did he do anything that like wowed you? Like, again,
No.
I'm not taking anything away from his game. I'm just like, he was confident. He looked big. He had all the hallmarks of what you want in a goalie. But I can't really think of one save where I was like, oh my God, he really saved their bacon there.
Maybe that Forsberg straight on shot when he got up the rebound, but even then, that wasn't like, it's not like Forsberg was sniping high glove,
What-
right?
If we're talking degree of difficulty, how many like 5 bell saves did he make?
I have one. The kick save he made.
But that's it.
Fair enough.
I mean, I don't want to put too fine a point on it because I've enjoyed all the other parts of this series with the injuries and the reporting and the Hughes, and like there's been a lot to unpack, but it's been a tug of war.
Here's what I'm trying to figure out. The best way to protect Quinn Hughes. This was kind of a topic today at the rink. And this is the question. I want to ask this. I can't see. Yeah, just CC. If teams commit to playing to Quinn's corner, embodying him, what is the best counter to that? Someone else asked if they should start a lineup of 11 and 7 and only play Hughes on the power play and on ozone faceoffs. I don't know about going that far, but you have to have some sort of counter. And I think the way Talkett talked about it today was getting bodies in front of Quinn Hughes, like his partner being close by, right? Because Quinn's so good at evading contact that if there's someone else there that the Predators have to go through, obviously without running interference, they're not going to be able to get the same look, the same kind of run up on hitting Quinn Hughes as they were in games 3 and game 4, especially. We noticed it. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Do you guys have anything? The best counter to Quinn Hughes avoiding contact?
Oh,
Not playing
the
him.
Stanley Cup playoff,
Yeah,
like you're
he's gonna
not
get hit.
avoiding it. I would say, for the most part, as long as this injury is not getting aggravated or worse, and that double team hit, certainly,
Mhm.
and the way he was doubled over after that, and then on the bench, like that to me, it was like he's definitely feeling it today.
Yeah,
If you thought he had a shoulder injury coming into that, that is not not good.
I think he missed 2 shifts after that one where they showed him on screen. But when Frank, I mean, you obviously were there and you watched it. When he came out on the ice after, like, well, what was kind of his body language then?
It was pretty normal.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess you look at it and there's someone maybe battling with something, obviously, clearly feeling it. But like Frank just said, Quads, it's the Stanley Cup playoffs. If they're not hitting them, they're not doing their job and trying to win a hockey game.
Yeah, I mean, that's gonna happen. That's gonna happen in every series. So, curious to see what ends up happening tomorrow, and the rest of the playoffs.
You got to move the puck as quick as you can and try to get out of dodge, but that is so much easier said than done,
especially
right?
with the Nashville forecheck. Like
Yeah.
they've forechecked well. Okay, Big Z. I wanted to mention him. Nikita Zadorov has really impressed me in these playoffs, and in fact, Ian Cole, Tyler Myers, Nikita Zadorov, and Carson Soucy getting massive amounts of love from Rick Tocchet today. And why wouldn't they? Those guys, as Tocchet said, have been pillars for them in this series, especially Ian Cole, like a guy who, as the season went on, we talked about, okay, yeah, you gotta manage his load. He's not looking like he did at the start of the year.
Can you workload next time?
No, you gotta manage his load. That's what I always say, because everyone says load management, manage that load.
God.
So anyway,
Grady hit the thing or
I think they've managed the load pretty well.
The same guy that was like, a smirk is kind of like a smile.
smile.
Real wordsmith over here.
But those guys have been really good. Those guys have been really good
Soucy's
around
been
Quinn Hughes.
outstanding.
Yeah.
Soucy has been. Soucy's been
And
extremely good.
Cole, this is why you brought him here. 9-year personal playoff streak that turned into 10, has won 2 Stanley Cups, has been through just about everything you could imagine. And I love his temperament. Like he's like, yeah, whatever. We're good.
Blocking
And-
shots with his head.
Yeah, how crucial was that?
He's not fast. He's not crazy physical. He's
Yeah.
just steady.
Steady.
How huge was that for this organization and just how inexperienced it was to bring him in, just to be able to have what he's doing now and going out there, not playing, not eating minutes and not doing that, but having that presence of, you just mentioned, obviously, all the experience.
Humongous. And now when you look at the players on the team that have won cups, of all the 16 playoff teams, the Canucks were kind of in the middle of the pack. They weren't one of those teams that was floundering in experience. And I think that matters.
Frank, we'll finish on this one. It's directly for you from Alec Taylor, regular listener of the show. If Hronek doesn't start to contribute in the playoffs, does that change his contract value this summer?
I think it could, in a small way. I mean, I think for the most part, the body of work and history is there. I've talked about the idea of the ARB case and what that looks like. It is $7.5 million without blinking.
Yep.
So I mean, it has been a pretty quiet first 4 games for him. He's another guy that I would add to the list of like, hey, when is he going to make a dent in the series? The second unit power play might as well not exist. Like
Yes,
it just
it's
doesn't.
true.
It doesn't exist. It's a figment of everyone's imagination. And on the one hand, I think, there's certainly some part of Hronek's game that he deserves not criticism, but like, yeah, everyone's like, when are you going to chip in? But then I also think about how the entire team has failed to generate looks and chances. Like if Quinn Hughes has his shot attempts down by a third from the regular season, from 7.7 shot attempts per game to 5.2, how are we possibly expecting Filip Hronek?
Sure.
The whole team had 13 shots on goal through 2 periods, 12 total in game 3. Like where's that coming from? Who's that on? I don't look at Filip Hronek and say, you're the reason.
It's not going to magically appear in game 5. It's just their style, the way that they've been playing quads.
Here's one for you guys. Last one from me on the topic of defense. I want both of you to answer this question. Maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit. I have a habit of doing that.
God, here we go.
Nikita Zadorov has played well enough in my mind that the Canucks, where if you asked me a week ago, I would have said, no, he's going to want too much as a free agent, and he's not going to be worth a 5x5 even. I'd listen on a 5x5 at this point with Nikita Zadorov. First, okay, 2 questions. Irf, you got to see more from Zadorov. Where are you when it comes to re-signing Nikita Zadorov this offseason? And Frank, is a 5x5 now not even enough to re-sign Nikita Zadorov?
Oh, it's enough.
Yeah,
Okay, it's enough.
I agree. I think it's enough.
Plenty.
Okay,
It's
and I
extra
think it.
plus.
Yeah, and
I think he's like should be slightly above the Eric Goodbranson contract in Columbus.
Yeah, when his was 4 times 4, right?
Yeah, so maybe like 4.5 times 4.
And he should
Okay.
take that all day.
He should take that.
I think he should.
I think
and-
he's a number 4 or 5 in the NHL.
Yes.
Do you think though, because Goodbranson got what he got in Columbus, do you think that Zadorov kind of looks at that and says, like, I can go get my bag. Someone's going to give this to me because I'm big. I have had a pretty good playoffs, or I'm having a good playoffs, and now I'm going into it. Or is he like, all right, I'm kind of happy in Vancouver and I'll take what they give me?
By the way, it was amazing seeing him in front of the net.
Oh,
It was
I've
wild.
been calling for it all year. Anyways,
Quads, you should coach.
I should own a team.
Quad
First of all.
shouldn't coach because he would give up his starting goalie weeks before every single game starts.
Like that matters.
That's what I mean. I agree, but it's funny.
Sorry, continue, Frank.
No, I've said before, and we had this exact conversation with Dakota Joshua 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I think you really get yourself into trouble paying players down your lineup because you are infatuated with their game, that you are willing to overpay for fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
How could I possibly get someone to do for us what Nikita Zadorov does? And I just think that person could be anyone. I'm not underselling what Zadorov brings. I'm just saying,
Go find the next one.
yeah,
Yep.
and pay him half the price.
Yep.
And,
Playoff D was
like-
pretty good in game 1.
like
Where's
look
the
at
rest of the series?
Susie. Like, who would you rather have, Susie at his price or Zadorov at his? Like,
Susie.
Susie.
you don't even have to think about it,
No.
right? But like when Susie signed, people weren't like, "Oh my god, this is the best signing ever."
Yep.
And now you're looking at it and you go, "Okay, so wait, you mean to tell me we can't go find another Susie for 275 or 3 as opposed to having to pay Zadorov a premium for what? Because he has a sweet video that they play during TV timeouts at Rogers Arena?"
Well, I think that that's one of the things that gets so lost in this market and this fan base for a long time. I think players generally are kind of overrated for what have you done in that exact moment. Like,
What have you done for me,
Frank,
lately?
after game 1, people were absolutely willing to give Dakota Joshua all the money. And it didn't matter what it was. It didn't matter anything. It was they were going to pay him and they were going to do whatever. And Dakota Joshua hasn't done much since that game where he had 2 goals in this series,
Well,
right?
It's been a one-line series,
Yeah,
to
no.
be fair,
Yeah.
which is like super odd. I can't even explain to you how weird this series has been.
Okay, anything else you guys wanted to say before we get to ad read and then our bet 365 bet of the day?
Nope.
Frank, parting thoughts?
Parting thoughts. The Canucks have the ability to make life really easy on themselves. One game.
I think they take
They
it
don't
tomorrow.
ask you how. They just ask you how many. And doesn't matter that they've been outplayed both games in Nashville. Doesn't matter that they required some heroics. Doesn't matter that they've had to change goalies 3 times in this series. The only thing that matters is winning one game. One game.
Rick Tocchet's confident. Rick Tocchet seemed pretty confident today.
He should be, for all the
after-
reasons we just talked about.
Yep.
All those things that haven't happened yet, like the law of averages, nature would tell you that is likely to happen at some point. Or at least one of those things to happen at some point.
Yeah.
Pettersson wakes up. Someone, you get a goal off of Mikheyev's ass. Something, somewhere,
Right.
someone.
Hoglander shows up.
Something. Someone.
Connor Garland stomps someone in a corner. I don't like, you're going to see something. You will. That's how it works.
That little behind the back pass. I love that he's done it so many times because when he
That's
first
his
did
move
it
now.
this year, when he first did it this year, I think it was JT Miller or maybe it was Joshua. It was
It
like,
was
he
the
doesn't know.
It was the
Yeah.
Spinorama one that
Yeah.
JT Miller looked at him and was like, holy.
Yeah, and then in
Yeah.
post game press conference, I think it was Miller who was like, he has no clue who's out there. He's just throwing the puck. He's like, he doesn't know what's going on. And
Yeah.
anyways, I just like that he's done it a few times now. Okay, let's get to our next sponsor, Four Winds Brewing, more specifically, the Four Winds Velo. If you're looking for an easy drinking beer that will quench your thirst after a day on the ice or on the golf course, depending on how your season's going, Velo is for you. This American Pale Ale was brewed with fresh squeezed lemon juice and pink Himalayan salt. Citrusy and refreshing, Velo is like the sports drink of beers. And at only 4.5%, it won't weigh you down either. You can grab yourself a 6-pack of Velo at select liquor stores across BC or for home delivery through the online shop at fourwindsbrewing.ca. Look at that beautiful can. Locally owned and operated in Delta, BC. Go to fourwindsbrewing.ca. All right, let's get to our Bet365 bet of the day. We are absolutely thrilled to welcome Bet365 as our sports betting partner just in time for the 2024 playoffs. We'll be here with Bet365 to provide you all the news, analysis, lines, and betting options for the playoffs until one team is left standing in June. Bet365 is the largest sports betting platform globally. Open an account with Bet365 today and use promo code VANBONUS to bet on a huge range of markets. So whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Here is our Bet365 bet of the day.
Like the Lightning, I think the series eventually is going to go the Florida Panthers way, but I do like the Lightning tonight as well as the Vegas Golden Knights at home against the Dallas Stars. $10 at plus 443 returns you 54, just over $54 there, Quads.
Beauty. Must be 90 plus to play. If you choose to play, please play responsibly. We'll close it out there. I'll be back tomorrow with Harmon. Irf, Frank, thanks so much for joining today. Much appreciated. For my co-hosts, I'll call you a co-host today, Frank, Irfan Gafar, and Frank Seravalli. My name is Dave Vergelli. Thank you so much for listening to an episode of the Canucks Conversation. Canucks Conversation with Harmon and Quads brought to you by the Toyota BZ4X. The BZ4X's fresh look is just an added bonus to its range since you can drive up to 406 kilometers on a single charge. That's enough to get you from Kitsilano to Whistler or Kamloops to Kelowna and back and still be home in time for the game. Now that's what we'd call electric. The best part, by choosing electric, you can get up to $11,000 in rebates and incentives. The BZ4X are in stock and selling quickly, so make sure to visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer to get your hands on one. Canucks Conversation is live Monday through Friday, every weekday at 2 p.m. over on the Canucks Army YouTube channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, and interact in the YouTube live chat every day with us, folks.